All right, so today we're going to find the percent or the total. So we're still finding percent of a number, but here we're trying to look at whenever you're finding different parts. So we're going to still look at this proportion here. So let's go ahead and look at this first one here. Remember, the top one is going to be our numbers. So we have our number, which is going to be our part, our numbers, which is going to be our total, and then here is going to be our percent, which is our part, and here is our percent, which is our total. Okay, so let's be careful here. It says, of the houses, of the 30 houses on Jason Street, 3 are made out of brick. What is the percent of houses that are made of brick? So remember here on the bottom, this is going to be our total houses that we're looking at. And the part is just going to be the houses that are made of brick. So I'm going to put brick on the top here, okay? So brick is our part. Total houses on the block would be, on the block would be our total, okay? So here, let's pay attention to what the question's asking us. It says, of the 30 houses on Jason Street, 3 are made out of brick. That means that there's 30 total houses on this street, and the part would be the 3 that are made out of brick. Now it's asking me what percent, which means we don't know the percent of the houses are brick. So my X would be finding the percent, and here, like we said before, this number is always going to be 100 since percent is out of 100. Now, I'm going to not cross multiply on this one. I'm going to show you that you can still use scale factor here, or you can end up cross multiplying if you need to. But I know to get from 30 to 3, we can simply divide by 10. 30 divided by 10 is 3. So what I do to one ratio, I have to do to the other. We could do 100 then divided by 10 is 10. So here we know that X is 10, and since we're finding the percent, this should be 10% as our answer. All right, let's try another one, okay? Remember, here we're going to have our part, our numbers over here. We have our part and our total. And then here we're going to have our percent, and our percent's always going to be out of 100. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's read. It says, at the end of the basketball game, Daniel's coach tells him that he scored 20% of all his team's points. If Daniel scored 19 points, exactly how many points did his team score? So here at the bottom, this would be our total points. So the part that we're trying to find would be the points scored. So I'm going to put scored up top. Okay. Now right off the bat, it gives me 20%. And I know my percent is going to go on my top second ratio, 20%. And we know percent is always going to be out of 100. Now it says if Daniel scored 19 points, exactly how many points did his team score? So the total points that Daniel scored was 19. So now we need to find, oh, sorry, I messed up. It says if Daniel scored 19 points, exactly how many points did his team score? So Daniel would be the part. He's part of his team that scored. And we're trying to find the total amount that the team scored. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at this. Here, we can go ahead and let's cross multiply and divide in this case, even though we do have a nice pretty scale factor again. But let's go ahead. Here, I see two numbers diagonal from each other, so we need to do 19 times 100, which is simply 1900. And then now we're going to divide by the one that's across from x. So we're going to divide by 20. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look here. Here I already see I have two numbers that end in 0, so I can divide by 10 to kind of simplify and make this a little bit smaller, so when I divide it's a little bit easier. So here, if I'm dividing by 10, which means I just simply knock off a 0. Okay, and now I have 190 divided by 2. So let's go ahead and do that. I have 2 divided by 190. All right, so 2 does not go into 1. 2 goes into 19 9 times. 2 times 9 is 18. Subtract. Bring down your 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times, which 2 times 5 is 10, and now we've zeroed out. So here, the total amount of points that Daniel's team scored would be 95. So here we have 95 points would be our answer. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Remember here, we're going to have our part, our total, and our percent is always going to be out of 100, okay? So it says 12 of the students in the school choir like to sing solos. These 12 students make up 24% of the choir. How many students are in the choir? So remember, we have our total students in choir. And our part would be students who like to sing solos. So I'm just going to put solos here. Okay. So it says 12 of the students in the school like to sing solos. So we know 12 is the part. And then here it says these 12 students make up 24%. So here we can put 24 next to the percent, which means we're trying to figure out how many total students are in choir. Well, this one here has a nice, pretty scale factor. In order to figure out x, we could figure out how do we get from 2 to 24. Well, we could multiply it by 2. So 12 times 2 is 24. But remember, we want to go in the direction of x. So if we do better going multiplying, we can just go backwards and ask ourselves, how do we get from 24 to 12? Oh, that would be dividing by 2. So we could do the same thing to 100 since we're going this way. To get from 24 to 12, we divided by 2. So to get from 100 to x, we now need to divide by 2. So 100 divided by 2 is 50. So x equals 50 students. Okay, one more. Remember here, let's set it up. We're going to have our numbers on this side and our percent on this side. And remember, percent is always going to be out of 100. So it says at Murky Middle School, 60%. Before I even finish reading, I already know my percent's going to go above my 100. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up. Of the students ride the bus. Then it says if 372 students ride the bus, then how many total students are enrolled in the school? So here our total students would be on the bottom. And here it says students who ride the bus. So ride bus would be our part. So the 372 would be our part of the students. And then here now we're going to have our x. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's see what we can do here. Let's go ahead and cross multiply and divide for this one. So we have 372 times 100, which means we're just simply going to add 2 zeros on the back of 372. And now we're going to divide by 60. Now, since they both end in a 0, I can divide by 10 or simplify them both by 10. And when you divide by 10, remember that means that you're knocking off a 0. Okay, so now when I divide, I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. I can divide 6 into 3,720. All right, so 6 does not go into 3, but 6 goes into 37 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 take away 6 is 1. 3 take away 3 is 0. Bring down your 2. 6 now goes into 12 2 times. 6 times 2 is 12. Yes, we've zeroed out, but we have one more 0 left in the back, so you could either just bring that 0 up or bring it down and ask yourself how many times 6 goes into 0, and then you would say 0. Okay, so here our x equals 600 students.